We begin the Gemara today at the bottom of Daf Peites Amud Beis, the Mishnah towards the bottom of the Amud. Zog the Heilige Mishnah. Shnei Gittin Ushtei Kesubos. So a woman comes and presents to Bezdin. She has 2 Gittin and 2 Kesubos. And Rashi explains what we're speaking about over here is that from the dates of these Gittin and the Kesubos, it's clear that he married her. He wrote her a Kesubah. So the first Kesubah has the earliest date. And then the next date you find is on a get. And then the next Kesubah is dated after that get. And then the next get is dated after the second Kesubah. So it's clear that he married her and wrote her 1 Kesubah, divorced her and remarried her and wrote her a second Kesubah for the second marriage. So she comes to Bezdin now. I was divorced twice from this man and I got 2 Kesubahs from this man. So it's the halacha. Goy v'shtei Kesubos. She collects the Kesubah twice for both of these marriages. Shtei Kesubos v'get echa. But what if she has 2 Kesubos and there's just 1 get? So both of these Kesubos were written before this get, they're dated before the get, and then just she divorced her once. So basically she's showing that for 1 marriage she got 2 Kesubos from her husband. Or she just has 1 Kesubah, but she was divorced twice. But when she was remarried, the husband didn't write her a new Kesubah. They were using the same payment of the Kesubah from before. He was relying on that previous Kesubah. She comes and she says, here's my Kesubah and the get, and here is a get, I got divorced, umis, and also my husband passed away. So then, in all these cases here, she only collects 1 Kesubah. So the Mishnah explains, regarding this case here, where it said that she has 1 Kesubah, and even though he divorced her, or again, regarding the case where she has 1 Kesubah with 2 Gittin, regarding all these cases, so we say as follows: person that divorced his wife and he remarried her, almanas Kesubah harishayna machzira. He marries her with the condition that we're going to use what I owed you from the first Kesubah. That not that if I divorce you a second time, then I'll owe you a Kesubah twice, but that what I owed you from the first Kesubah, that's the only Kesubah that I'll owe you. That's the way people with that condition people get remarried. Now, regarding this case that the Mishnah said that a person wrote 2 Kesubos, that's what the Gemara is going to discuss over here right now. Right? So what did it say in the Mishnah? 2 Kesubos.
A Kesubah they get
means
that they got married twice.
Yes, correct. Got married twice and divorced, and then afterwards she got remarried, and then afterwards he passed away. Even if that happened, that's correct. And she got married twice, but nevertheless, there's only 1 Kesubah, because when he remarries her, it's with the condition of using the first Kesubah, not a new Kesubah. But the case the Mishnah said was, you have 2 Kesubos and 1 get. Question is, what's the story with his 2 Kesubos? Why is a husband writing to his wife 2 Kesubos? The Mishnah says you could collect only 1 of those Kesubos, right? Now, which Kesubah could you collect? From the lashon of the Mishnah, it seems that you can collect either one. Now, the Gemara says, Iboye b'hai gavye. Should we say that what the Mishnah is saying, that when a husband wrote to his wife 2 Kesubos, so which Kesubah does she use? She can collect from either one. Meaning, what would be the difference? If you collect from a Kesubah with an earlier date, it gives her more options. If her husband owned properties before that, the date of that, after that marriage, so then she can say, this belongs to me. If the husband sold it to someone else, she can go and collect from that. If she's collecting with a Kesubah from a later date, if the husband sold his properties before that later date, she won't be able to collect from it. So is the Mishnah here saying that she has an option to collect with the Kesubah with the later date? She has an option to collect with the Kesubah from the earlier date? So, but is that so? If so, this would refute what Rav Nachman said in the name of Shmuel. If you have 2 shtaris and that are written regarding 1 single loan, regarding whatever, 1 single thing, regarding 1 sale, and they're coming out with 2 different dates. You have a date from, let's say, the Ches Tishrei, and then you have another document regarding the exact same sale, and on that document it says Ches Cheshvan. So what does this mean? Why are there 2 different documents over here? So Rav Nachman explained what this means is Bittul Sheni Eserishain. The second document that's written annuls the date of the first document. You only go by the later document. You cannot use the earlier document with the earlier date. So the question is, why does it just say in our Mishnah that you collect 1 Kesubah? The Mishnah should have specified regarding this case that you use dafka the later date from the second Kesubah. The point is, otherwise, why did this husband write a later Kesubah? Is there anything that you're adding by writing a later Kesubah? The only thing that you're changing or adding is the date. That you're setting a later date. So if that's what he intended to do when he wrote the second ksubah, so then she should only have the right to collect with the second ksubah. So the Gemara answers, no, lav dafke. We had this once before in the Gemara. Lav itmar Allah. We learn on this. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa said, Umayde Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman would agree. The Eisef Beit Dikla. If regarding, let's say, this was a document regarding the sale of a property, and in the second document you added another palm tree that you're also selling. So because you added something, so then I say, L'taisvis kasvei. You didn't write the second document because you want now that only the date of the second document should be used. The first document could be used as well with the earlier date. But in the second document, you added something. You added another tree. So therefore, what happens is, in such a case, Rav Nachman would agree that this person, the buyer, has an option. You want to use the first document as a raya that this is sale, this is yours, so you're not going to be able to have that palm tree. Or if you want to use the later date, so now there's a certain chesaron that it's only a later date, but nevertheless you're going to get more. You get that palm tree. So you basically have a choice. So over here what happened is he wrote it to his wife two ksubas, but the later ksubah he added more into the ksubah. So therefore over here, in such a case, she can choose which ksubah she wants to collect from, whatever is to her benefit. That's why our Mishnah doesn't specify dafke from the second ksubah. Tana Rabbanan.
So the first case in the Mishnah and the second case in the Mishnah, both of them is only given from one ksubah.
Yeah, only one ksubah, correct.
What's the difference?
It's just whether he wrote her two ksubas, on the second case he didn't.
But says shtei ksubas get echad.
Shtei ksubas.
Get echad.
Yeah.
It says any given ksubah echad.
Correct, only one ksuba.
So then the first one's also one ksubah.
No. In the very first case of the Mishnah, shtei ksubas. He collects two ksubas because over there it's clear that he wrote two ksubas for two different marriages. If you wrote two ksubas during one marriage, then I say that she can collect only one ksuba. She can choose which ksuba. But if she got two ksubas from her husband, it's clear for two different marriages. The dates are clear that it's for two different marriages. So then, even though usually we say a husband relies on the previous ksuba, but here it's clear that he's not relying on the previous ksuba. He decided to write a new ksuba.
But if she had the two ksuba, would the first one wouldn't he get it back? I mean, if he divorced her, he takes back the first one, no?
Usually she gets paid. She gets paid, but
he gives it back.
But if it happens so fast, or for whatever reason she never got paid for the previous ksuba, and then she got remarried, and he wrote her a new ksuba, so then she'll get two. Tana Rabbanan Abraisa, we learned it specifies a little bit more than what it says in the Mishnah regarding this halacha. Itzia get ksuba misa. She brings a get and also a ksuba, and also her husband passed away. So im get kaidum l'ksuba, if the date of the get is before this ksubah that she's bringing here, so it's clear that this ksubah is a second ksubah that was written after the first marriage. She's bringing a get to prove that she's owed a ksubah for the first marriage. And then the date of the ksubah that she's bringing is after that get. So that means that her husband wrote a second ksubah, and after the second marriage he passed away. So then goyvish take ksubas. So the dates make it clear that there's two ksubas that he wrote her, so she collects two ksubas. But ksubah kedemus leget, if the date of the ksubah is before the date of the get, so then ain't a goyvel ksubachas. So then she only collects one ksubah because we see that he wrote her the ksubah already by the first marriage. He got remarried to her and then he died. But we say, as the Mishnah said, person divorces his wife and remarries her, he doesn't write her a new ksubah, he remarries her with the condition that he's going to give her the same ksubah that he promised her for the first marriage. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Kotten sheisiya yaviv. A Kotten, the father married him, so really this marriage doesn't take effect. There is no marriage for a Kotten. The father married him off, and then there was a ksubah written for this marriage of the Kotten, and now this Kotten continued living with his wife after he became a gadol. Once he continues living with his wife after he's a gadol, now as a gadol the marriage takes effect. So it says the Mishnah, Kesubos kayemes, the ksubah that was written when he was a Kotten is going to still be in effect now, after he lives with his wife as a gadol, even though they didn't rewrite a new ksubah now as a gadol when the real marriage takes effect. Shal menas ken kaima, it's with this condition that he continues living with her as a gadol. You don't have to rewrite the ksubah. It's understood that it's with that condition that he continues living with her with that ksubah that was written before, even though before it wasn't even a marriage. Similar halacha, gershon is gaida ishte imay, a ger that he and his wife both became gerim. So they had a ksubah that they wrote before when they were goyim. Obviously the marriage is not a marriage, and the ksubah is not really a ksubah, but they were living together as goyim, and now they become gerim together. So ksubasa kayemes, the ksubah that he had before with her, that whatever he promised her is still in effect now as well. Shamanas ken kaima. It's with this condition that it's understood that he's continuing to live with her now as a real marriage, as a yid, with the condition to keep that ksubah that was there before. Amar Ravone, so Ravone says, what does this mean? When we say that we keep the ksubah, it's still in effect the ksubah that was there before. Leishano elamano masayim. That means the set amount of the ksubah, whether it's 1 mana, whether masayim, that set amount is there from before. Aval teisefes, but whatever additional amounts the husband promised the wife, or by the father promised for the cotton when he brought into for the ksubah for his wife, that additional amounts ein lo. Once they get really married, he becomes a gadol, they become yidden. That additional amount she does not get from before. But Rav Yehuda says, even the additional amounts that the husband promised his wife from before, and now he continues living with her, she's going to get that as well. The Gemara asks from what it says in the Braisa, so what's if the husband added something new here? So what this means is that now he got married to her, and before he was living with her and it wasn't a real marriage. Now it's a real marriage. Now after he's a gadol and it's a real marriage, and now after he becomes a ger and it's a real marriage, so he's machadish. He adds more to the ksubah. So she gets whatever he added now. So what do you see from the lashon of this brayse? Chitshu in whatever he added now, the new part that he added today, that's what she gets. But loy chitshu loy. But if he did not add anything new now, so any additions that the husband did add before, she will not get. She will only get the basic amount of the ksubah, which is the mana and masayim. So this is a question of Yehuda that says that she does get even the additional amounts that the husband promised her from before. So the Gemara answers, Eimer, Rabbi Yehuda will tell you the way to read this brayse is af mashachitshu, that she gets also what the husband added today. Not only what he added before, but also what he added today as well. That's what the Braisa is saying. But she still will get from what the husband added before. But you have to look there in the full quote of what it says in that Braisa. That's not what it says there in the Braisa there. Because what does it say? Chitshu neiteles masha chitshu. If the husband added now something new, so she gets this new part that he added. But loy chitshu, if the husband did not add anything new, besula goyim masayim valmona mana. The Braisa clearly says that if she's a besula, she only gets 200 that is, and an almana gets 100. So the Braisa clearly says that you don't take more than the set amount of the ksubah from before. So the Gemara says, you're right, Yufta de Rav Yehuda. This refutes what Rav Yehuda said, that she gets even the additional amounts from before. Now the Gemara explains, Rav Yehuda masnisen at isei. Rav Yehuda that said that you do get the additional amounts from before, that's because he was looking at our Mishnah, and from the language of our Mishnah, he thought that that's what it's saying. Because he thought Kesubos kayemes. The lashon the Mishnah says is that her ksubah from before is in effect. Akula milsakai. What's the simple pshat of the Mishnah? Kesubos kayemes means the entire ksubah. It's all in effect. But as we see here from the Braisa, veloihi, that's not true. When it says the ksubah is still in effect, it's only referring to the main part of the ksubah, the set amount of the ksubah, which is mana or masayim. That's what our Mishnah is saying. Taisus adds to this. So, if according to Rav Yehuda, what's the chiddush over here that she gets the set amount of the ksubah? We always know regarding a ksubah, even if you don't actually write a ksubah, in every marriage, it's an automatic condition that the bezdin obligates you to give the ksubah. So, why do we have to say that you get that set amount from before? Obviously, you should get the set amount you always get in a marriage, no matter what. So, what was the chiddush according to Rav Yehuda over here? So, Taisa says the chiddush is again.
Only Rav Yehuda is the shaila.
This is the shaila on the Tanakama. Sorry, this is not a shaila. Did I say it's a shaila of Yehuda? It's a shaila on the Tanakama. The Tanakama that says that you only get the set amount. So then, what's the chiddush to that? So Taisus explains the chiddush is that what happens if when he married her, when he was a cotton or when he was a guy, so then she was a basula. So therefore, in that condition, she deserves masayim, 200. That was the set amount. And now when he continues living with her as a yid or as a gadol, she's not a basula anymore. So maybe she should get only half. She only get 1 mana. So when it says ksubasa kayemis, it means she gets the full set amount of 200. That's the chiddush over here. Hadran Allah hakaisav leishtay. This is the conclusion of the 9th Perek of Masechta Kesubos. Begin the 10th Perek. Zok Heilige Mishnah Mishaya Nasi Shtei Nashim. Person is married to 2 wives. Umeis, and he passed away. So now the ksubah money is owed to both of these wives. Harishayna kedemes l'shniya. The first wife has the first right to come to collect from his properties before the second. And what this means is, what's if there's only enough for one? So who's going to get? Only the first wife is going to get her ksuba, and the second one will not get because he owes it to her first. The Yarsha Rishayna, and similar also, if then these two wives themselves passed away after the husband passed away, so the inheritors of the first wife, they come before the inheritors of the second wife to collect the ksuba. Again, because they come first there, he owes them the ksuba first. But then we have another halacha here. Nasa sarishayna umeisa. What happens if he married? So his first wife, she comes first. But what happens is she died before him. If she dies before him, she doesn't collect any ksuba. And then nasa shniya umeisu. And then he married a second wife, and the husband passed away. So really now, the ksuba is only owed to the second wife. To the first wife, he doesn't owe a ksuba at all. She passed away before him. But now this brings us back into the sugya that we learned before in the Masechta, which is called Kesubos benin dichrin. One of the deals that are made, one of the agreements that are made, that are written into the ksuba is that if a person is married to two wives, even if she passes away first, so what happens then when the wife passes away first? All the ksuba money and the properties that were meshubah to the ksuba, who gets it? The husband gets it. But then, when the husband dies, instead of the children inheriting this father equally, we divide the properties between the children of two wives equally. The agreement over here is that the children of each wife will get the ksuba of their mother that the father got from their mother, because the mother passed away first. But each child now will get from the father the ksuba of their mother, and the other children from the other mother will get the ksuba of their mother. And after we divide this ksuba of their mother, then we'll go and divide his possessions and his properties equally between them, like every Yerusha. So that's what's called Kesubos benin dichrin. So over here, in this case, what happened? So the first wife, so what's owed to the children? Not the ksuba, because she died first. But the Kesubos benin dichrin, the fact now that the children want to get from the father that passed away, this ksuba that belongs from their mother. And they're getting it from the father, really, because the mother passed away already first. And then, but the second one is actually collecting the ksuba. The ksuba itself is what she's collecting that's owed to her. So now what's the halacha? Who comes first? So shniya v'yershea, the second one, the second wife, or her yershim, kaidmil yersher shayna. They actually collect before the first wife, and the reason is because the ksuba is something that is owed in this Yerusha. All the money that the father passes away, and now there's a Yerusha here. And now this Yerusha, there's money owed to the ksuba. The halacha by every Yerusha is, if there's money owed, so first you have to pay the Baal Chayv. You can't come and divide the properties before you pay anyone that you owe money to. So over here, the money is owed first to the second wife. The second wife, the ksuba, money is owed to her. So therefore, first the second wife, which is owed the ksuba money, gets paid to her or her inheritors, and then you go back to the Yerusha. Now we're going to divide the Yerusha. And how do we divide the Yerusha? We give the children of the first wife, they get their Kesubos benin dichrin from their mother. But they only come second, even though their mother was the first wife, because they're not really getting a ksuba. It's only the second wife which is getting the ksuba. So therefore, the ksuba is money owed to her, and therefore she has to collect first. Sagt the Gemara, going back to the first part of the Mishnah, what did it say in the Mishnah? That the first wife comes before the second wife. So the Gemara is being medayik, the fact that it says kodemes, comes first. For like Katani, the Mishnah does not say a stronger expression, harishayna yeshla, that the first wife will get her ksuba, vashniya einla, and the second wife won't get anything. So Rashi says the reason why the Mishnah should have said this, because if the Mishnah is saying this halacha about who gets first and who gets second, if not for the fact that there is only enough for one, then it doesn't make a difference who gets first and who gets second. There's enough for both. Elamai, the case over here is that there is only enough for one. So if there's only enough for one, instead of the Mishnah saying that the first comes before the second, the Mishnah should have said stronger. The Mishnah should have said that only the first will get and the second one will not get at all. Why doesn't the Mishnah use that expression? So Meklal, what this proves is the kodma shniya v'tafsa, that if the second one jumped ahead and went and grabbed the properties for herself, even though she was the second one that was owed, loy mafkina mina, we do not take away that property that she grabbed for herself. So from this we could learn out. So that's why it says kodemes. True, the first one has the first rights to collect, but it's not absolute that that the first one's gonna get and not the second one. If the second one comes and grabs, then what she grabbed she can keep. Shma mina, from here we could learn a general halacha regarding Bal Chayv, if you owe money to two people. Same kind of a thing. You owe Reuven from an earlier loan, and you owe Shimon from a later loan. So Bal Chayv mu'ocher, a person you owe money from a later date, Shekadam v'gava, that jumped ahead and he went and collected before he was supposed to, Mashagava gava. What he collected, once he grabbed it, it's his to keep. That's what I see from here. There's a long Taisus here that discusses this. Taisus asks the question, Taisus says, what kind of a svar is this? Why should you say this? Why, if the second guy comes and grabs first, why should he be allowed to keep it? He took something ahead of that doesn't belong to him. What happens if a person owes someone money and he sells the property to someone else? The person that owes the money goes to the buyer and confiscates the property. So over here, if you owe money to a second guy and he comes and grabs it first, he should have more of a right than this buyer. He can grab it and keep it. What's epis? So Taisa says that this is based on the concept of leitinol deles b'fnei loivin, that we don't want to close the door from people from being able to borrow money. If when you borrow money, you know that, or when you're lending money rather, you know that this person may have borrowed money from someone else, and therefore you're going to have to come second in line. So you're going to think twice before you lend money. How do I know if this guy's borrowing money from me? He may have borrowed money from someone else, and I'm only going to be second in line. I'm not going to get paid. But if you know in back of your mind that if I'm going to be aggressive, and if I'm going to go and grab, I can keep what I grab, so then you'll think to yourself, I'll take care of myself. I'm going to lend the money, I'll take care of myself. That's the reason Taisva says, is the svara that if this Bal Chayv comes and grabs, he can keep what he grabbed. Okay, but the Gemara says it's not a die from the Mishnah. Lo'ila me'malach, really I can tell you, mashagova loigava. What the second one grabs is we take it away from him. So over here in our Mishnah as well, the first wife is the one that's supposed to get it. If the second one grabs, we'll take it away from her. But my kedemis, why does the Mishnah use the term kedemis? Legamri, ketani. It actually means, kedemis means completely. You come before, and you are the only one really that gets. And the other one, even if she grabs, will not keep it. And where do we see such a lashon that kedemis means completely? Kedetnan, as we see a lashon in the Mishnah in another place where it says ben kaidun lebas. A son comes before a daughter when it comes to yarshin. Over there, what does it mean before? Before doesn't mean that if the daughter grabs, she'll keep. No such a thing. By Yerusha, only the ben yarshins, and the daughter does not yarshin at all. So we see the Mishnah uses the term kedemis, even though it means that the daughter gets nothing. Ikeda Amri, there are others that were proving this subject in the Mishnah, but they had an opposite version, a different version. And they said as follows: Ketani, from this, that the Mishnah does not clarify and explain, Imkad Mashni of Tafsa, that if the second one will come and grab, might see miyada, that we will allow her to keep it, we won't take it out of her hands. Meklal, so this proves the Ikad Mashni of Tafsa, that if the second one will come and grab, Mafkina Mina, we will take it out of her hands. So therefore from our Mishnah we can prove that a later Bal Chayv that comes and grab, Mashagava loigava. What he collected is not collected. We will take it out of his hands. So otherwise the Mishnah should have clarified this point. The Mishnah should have said that if the second one comes and grabs, she can keep it. Taisus explains why the Mishnah should have said dafka this. Okay, this is the diak of the Gemara here. Why doesn't the Mishnah say that the second one is allowed to grab? Elamai, the answer is the second one is not allowed to grab. Says the Gemara, no, the truth is I can tell you, Masha Gava, that really if the second one will come and grab, then she could keep what she grabbed for herself. Now why did the Mishnah not specify this? I did the Tani, but because the Tana that is, but because it says this, the next case in the Mishnah, Shniya v'Yerisha Kaidmin liYarisha Rishayna. The next case of the Mishnah it says that you have only one wife that the Kesubos is owed to, because only one wife passed away after the husband, or the husband passed away and she's still alive, and the other wife is not even owed the Kesubos at all. She passed away before the husband. So over there it says that the Shniya, which is Od Ksuba, comes before the first one. And over there you can't say that if the children of the Rishayna grab, they can grab before the second wife. Only the second wife is Od Ksuba. From the first wife that she passed away before, she's not even Od Ksuba. There's no grabbing over here. So therefore, since over there it doesn't talk about this halacha of grabbing, so Tana Nami Harishayna Kedemis L'Shniya, so therefore in the first part of the Mishnah it also says that the first wife comes before the second wife, and it does not clarify what happens if you grab. But really the halacha would be that if the second one would grab, she could keep it. Okay, now going to the next part of the Mishnah, Nasa Sarishayna. So the Mishnah here said, so you have these two wives. One wife is Od Ksubah because the husband passed away first, and the other wife is not owed the ksubah, but the children of this wife will get ksubas benin dichrin. Their mother taka passed away first, but then when the father passes away, instead of dividing the properties equally, first they will get the value of the ksubah of their mother, and after that you divide the properties. That's what our Mishnah is saying. So here we're going back into the sugya of ksubas benin dichrin. This is like finishing off this concept that we learned earlier in the Masechta. The Gemara says, Shma mina tlas. From our Mishnah we could learn 3 points regarding this halacha of ksubas benin dichrin. First thing is, Shma mina, we can learn from our Mishnah, achas b'chaya v'achas b'moisai. That if you have one wife that passed away when the husband is still alive, meaning she gets no ksubah, just ksubas benin dichrin, v'achas b'moisai, and one wife passed away after the husband passed away. So she's really collecting the ksubah. Or it's her children that are collecting the ksubah. So in such a case, yesh lan ksubas benin dichrin, that the children of that mother that passed away before the father, they do get ksubas benin dichrin. So now the chiddush over here is, you have over here a situation where only the children of one mother are getting this ksubas benin dichrin, but not the children of another mother. The children of the other mother are collecting the ksubah that's owed to their mother. They're inheriting their mother's ksubah. The other children, they're not inheriting their mother's ksubah, they're not yashining anything from their mother. They're yashining from the father. Elamai, there's an agreement that when we yashin from our father, we're not going to get an equal Yerusha with all the other inheritors. We're going to get from our father an extra portion of our mother's ksubah. So over here, in such a case, the Gemara says, maybe we shouldn't say that they get this ksubas benin dichrin. Why? Because the chiddush is that we're not concerned that there's going to come to be a quarrel. There'll be a fight over here between their inheritors. Why? When you have a situation that everybody is in the same boat, everybody is yashining ksubas benin dichrin. So therefore, everybody is yashining from the father directly, not from the mother. And from the father, there's an agreement that before we divide the properties equally, each one is going to get their mother's ksubah, and then we divide the properties equally. So they're not going to come to fight. We're all on the same footing. We're all in the same boat. But over here, you have some of the inheritors that are the children from one wife, so they get the ksubah of their mother. But from the father, they're not getting anything extra from their father. They're yashing the ksubah that was already owed to their mother. Then when it comes to yashing from their father, they're not getting anything extra. They're getting directly from the father a fair amount. The other children from the other wife, they're yashing from the father. They're not yashing from their mother. Their mother wasn't owed any ksubah. They're yashing from the father, and they're getting extra from the father. So the other children are going to come and say, why are you getting extra from the father and we are not getting extra from the father? Maybe the whole halacha of ksubas benin dichrin is only when you have two mothers and the children of both wives are getting ksubas benin dichrin. So then they're not going to fight. Each one is getting from the father their ksubas benin dichrin. But if only the children of one wife are getting ksubas benin dichrin, extra from their father, and the other ones are not getting any extra from their father, maybe over here we should be concerned that there'll be a fight. So therefore, that's the chiddush of our Mishnah. We can learn from our Mishnah, as it said in our Mishnah, this case, that still the ones that their mother passed away before the father will get the ksubas benin dichrin. Mimai, how do I know this? Because this is what our Mishnah says. The Mishnah says, the second ones from the second wife, which are yashning the ksubah directly from the mother, they come before the yarshim of the first wife. But what do you understand from this? Mikdamu dekadmi. True, they're collecting what's owed to their mother. They can come first. But but if there'd be enough for both, for the ksubah, and then also for an additional inheritance for the other children, shakli, they're going to get the extra ksubas benin dichrin. If there's enough, we will apply the halacha of ksubas benin dichrin in this case, and we're not concerned about a fight. That's the first halacha we learn from here. Shma mina, second halacha we learn from here is that ksubah nases moisel chaverta. The ksubah is considered to be extra for the other children that want to inherit. What does this refer to? This we learned this before, and it's going to be also in the next Amud over here. The halacha of ksubas benin dichrin. When you have this deal that the children of each wife can yashin extra from the ksubah that the father got for their mother, that's only if after each one of the children get from their what comes to them because of their mother, now there's an extra money where it could be divided equally. There has to be at least one dinner where you can divide the Yerusha equally. If after you finish dividing the Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, where the children of each wife is taking their special amount of their mother, then there's no leftovers to make any equal Yerusha, then we don't apply the inyan of Kesubos b'nei Dichrin. There has to be some leftover money. So over here in this case, the Gemara says, what happens in a situation where there is no leftover money? But over here, there was other possessions of the father that was used up. What was it used up for? It was used up to pay up the ksubah for the second wife. The second wife, over here, they did not get ksubas b'nei Dichrin. They're the children of the second wife are getting the ksubah that's owed to their mother. Says the Gemara, let's read again the Gemara's words inside. So Shema Minah, from where we could learn, ksubah, this money that's owed for the ksubah, for the second wife, nasis maisa, that money is actually considered to be the inheritance that's left over, lechaverta. And therefore now, the children of the first wife that want to get ksubas b'nei Dichrin can get ksubas b'nei Dichrin. Why? The children of the first wife can say, look, there is leftovers of the Yerusha even after we get our Kesubos b'nei Dichrin. And that leftovers, what's being done with that leftovers? It's being paid for what's owed to the second Kesubah. It's not really a second Kesubah. It's being paid to the Kesubah of the second wife. So just like any situation where a father passes away and you're going to distribute the Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, and there is leftovers, but what's happening to the leftovers? The leftovers is being paid to somebody that the money is owed to. But it's leftovers. True, it's being paid to somebody that the money is being owed to, but that's considered to be leftovers. So over here as well, the children of the Kesubos b'nei Dichrin will say, the leftovers is going to the Kesubah of your mother, and we together are paying this leftovers for this Kesubah. So therefore, we could apply Kesubos b'nei Dichrin in this case. Okay, so where do we see this from our Mishnah? So the Gemara says, Mimai, how do I know this? Because it did not say in our Mishnah, Im Yesha Maisa Dinner, that the children of the first wife that are taking Kesubos b'nei Dichrin could only take if there's going to be another dinner left over besides the Kesubah that's paid to the second wife. It doesn't say that in the Mishnah. That Kesubah that's being paid to the second wife is the leftovers of the Yerusha. A third halacha we learn from here, Ushma Mino, Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, that when it comes to the case of Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, loitar from mishabdi. So this that's owed to them because of Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, they cannot collect this from mishabadim. If the father already sold off his property to someone else, they don't get this special amount from the Kesubah of their mother that the father got. Right, so this is going back to something we actually learned earlier in the Masechta. This halacha of Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, these children, they're not getting anything from their mother. Their mother really passed away before. When the mother passes away, the father yarshins the Kesubah. And now, when the father passes away, the children get that Kesubah from the father. But the question is, when the children get this Kesubah from the father, do they get it from the father as a Yerusha? It's an inheritance. If it's an inheritance, they will only get this special portion from the father from the properties that he still owns. Regarding that, you can say there's a Yerusha. Only what's in his possession is there a Yerusha. Or the Gemara says maybe this is considered to be like a loan. The father owes it to these children of this mother. And therefore, even if the father sold off the properties, it's like a loan. It's like what's owed to them. And they're going to be able to go from the buyers and confiscate and take for themselves. What do we see over here from our Mishnah? That the ones that are getting the Kesubah from their mother, that's like a loan. That's owed to them from the Kesubah of their mother. But the ones that are getting from the father, the Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, that's not like a loan. That's a Yerusha. And a Yerusha is only what's in his possession. Again, so in the words of the Gemara here, that Kesubos b'nei Dichrin leitar from mishabdi. You cannot collect it from fields, from properties that were sold off to someone else. Why? How do I see it from our Mishnah? From the order of who collects first. Because the Isal Kedait and Tar from mishabdi. If you're going to say that Kesubos b'nei Dichrin is treated like a regular loan, and you collect even from mishabadim, even from properties that are sold off, so if so, why does our Mishnah say that the children of the second wife collect first? Leisa b'nei rishayna, let the children of the first wife come, v'litirful b'nei shniya, and let them collect from the children of the second wife. They're the first wife, the money was owed to them first. So the children of the second wife, they're collecting their mother's Kesubah, so they're collecting money that's owed to them. But the children of the first wife, the money was owed to them first. So let them collect first. Why are we saying in our Mishnah that the children of the second wife collect first? The answer is because the children of the first wife that get Kesubos b'nei Dichrin, it's only a Yerusha. Yerusha you only get from what's left over after whatever creditors are paid up. after the ksuba is paid up for the second wife. The ksuba of the second wife, that's like a loan. That's money that's owed to her. First, she has to get paid up what's owed to her. And only after that, what's left over, the children of the first wife will yarshin. That's why they come second in line. Okay, so that's the three halachas we learn from our Mishnah. But the Gemara asks on two of these halachas. Maskef lo Ravashi. Ravashi asks, Mimai. How do you know to prove the first two halachas here? Dilme, maybe lo'ila meimalach, I can really tell you, achas b'chaya v'achas b'moisai, in this kind of situation, where one wife passes away when he's alive, when the husband's alive, and one of them passed away after the husband died. Meaning that the Kesubos b'nei dichrin applies to only the children of one wife, not to the other. So maybe really ein len Kesubos b'nei dichrin. These children of the first wife, in our Mishnah, it's the first wife, they will not get a special portion of the Kesuba of their mother. My koidmin, that is, this is how you read it. My koidmin, when it says in our Mishnah that the children of the second wife will collect the ksuba of their mother before the children of the first wife, lenachla katani. Not that the children of the first wife will get a special portion. They're not getting any special portion. They're going to get the regular portion of nachla, of Yerusha. It's going to be divided equally. Never said in our Mishnah clearly that we're still going to apply ksubas b'nei dichrin. Maybe it won't be applied. They're going to get the regular Yerusha. If so, if you're going to argue and say, so Yarshi Harishayna, Lamali, why does the Mishnah use the expression that the Yarshim of the second wife come before the Yarshim of the first wife? It's not the Yarshim of the first wife. Once the children of the second wife collect the Ksubah, now all the Yarshim Yarshin equally. There's no Yarshim of the first wife. We don't apply Ksubas b'nei dichrin, you're trying to say. So if you don't apply Ksubas b'nei dichrin, why does it say Yarshi Hari Shaina? It should have just said that now we just give out the Yerusha to all of them equally. It says the Gemara, Aidi the Tana Shniya v'Yarshel. So the reason the Mishnah uses that expression is only because when it came to the Yarshim of the second wife, so over there it says that they are getting specifically the Ksuba of their mother. So therefore, Tana Namel Yarsha Rishayna uses the expression that now the earlier children are getting from what comes to them. But really, it's not the Ksubas b'nei dichrin. Really, it just means the regular Yerusha. Now, the second halacha that was proven from our Mishnah, this that you said, that the fact that you have to have leftovers after the Ksubas b'nei dichrin to divide the Yerusha equally, the Ksuba that was paid for the second wife, that's going to be considered the leftovers. Lav dafka, you can't prove it from the Mishnah. Maybe I'll tell you, that ksuba that's being paid for the second wife is not considered to be the leftovers after the ksubas b'nei dichrin. And v'hacha, in our Mishnah, hu de'ikir ma'aseh dinner. There is leftover dinner over here that's available besides the ksuba that's being paid for the second wife. Even though the Mishnah didn't specify this, but this is already self-understood from what we learned earlier in the Masechta. It already said this halacha. It doesn't have to specify this clearly, even though the Mishnah didn't clearly say that there's a leftover dinner, but there is. We know this halacha separately. It says in the next Mishnah here. We learned it already before. Okay, so now the Gemara will bring other braises where we see this machlokes. Again, the point of here is we have usually ksubas b'nei dichrin applies when you have the children of one wife, the children of another wife, and both of them are getting from the father that passed away their unique portion from their mother's ksuba. Over here we have a situation where the children of one wife are getting the ksuba of their mother directly from their mother, because the father passed away first before their mother, and the other ones are getting the ksubas b'nei dichrin from their father because their mother passed away first. So the question is, do we apply ksubas b'nei dichrin in such a situation? So the Gemara is going to bring other braises regarding this. Says the Gemara, v'achas b'chaya v'achas b'moisei. This question, when one passed away when the father was still alive, and one passed away after the father passed away, so there's only ksubas b'nei dichrin for one of them. Tanoi, this is a machlokes Tanoi, and we have a pretty clear braisa about this. Tanya, the braisa says, Meisu, both wives passed away. Achas b'chayav, one when the husband was still alive, v'achas b'moisei, and one after he passed away. So Banana says, Yechaylim b'nei rishayna loima lebnei ashniya. So the children of the first wife say to the children of the second wife, B'nei balas chayv atem, you are owed money from your mother's ksubah. This is money directly owed to you from your mother's ksubah. Tlu ksubas imchem. You take the money of your mother's ksubah, utsu, and then you leave. And then the rest we are going to get for the ksubas b'nei dichrin. In other words, there's not enough to then come and divide the properties equally. So you're going to take from your ksuba what you owe, and then we take the special amount that we get from our father for the deal of ksubas b'nei dichrin. So clearly, Ben Nanas is saying that ksubas b'nei dichrin applies in such a situation. Rabbi Kiva says, no, it doesn't work that way. Kvar koftza nachla Melifnei b'nei rishayna. The moment that the second wife passed away after the father passed away, so now she's collecting the ksubah she's collecting a regular ksubah. The children are collecting a regular ksubah, not ksubah's bin dichrin. The moment that happens, that from one wife there's a regular ksubah, so now the halach of ksubah's bin dichrin jumps off. In other words, it goes away. There's no ksubah's bin dichrin anymore. V'nafla lefnei b'nei ashniya, and therefore now the whole inheritance is divided equally between everybody. So Rabbi Akiva is saying that in such a case there is no ksubah's bin dichrin when it's only one wife that the children would have had it. So my love, don't you think Balkam Iflagi? This is their argument here. The Marsovar. So one opinion over here is that the Banana says Achas b'chayav, Achas b'moisa. In this situation, when one passed away when the husband was alive, and one passed away after the husband passed away, Yesh len ksubas bin indichrin. Nevertheless, even those children of one of the wives will get ksubas bin indichrin. Marsovar, but Rabbi Akiva says Achas b'chayav, Achas b'moisa. In this situation, ein len ksubas bin indichrin. So because it's only one of them that are getting, the others will come to fight. The others are going to say, why are you getting extra from our father? And therefore there is no ksubas bin dichrin here. So the Gemara now brings, Lav Dafka, this is the pshat on this machlaikis. The Gemara brings, Omar Rabbe said, Ashkechtinu l'Rabbanon de Bei Rav. I found the Rabbanon from the yeshiva of Rav, the Yasvi, the Ka'amri, they were sitting and they said a different pshat in this machlaikis of Rabbi Akiva and Benanas. And they said as follows, the Kula Alme, everybody will agree, Achas b'chayav, Achas b'moisai, when one gets the regular ksubah, one wants to get ksubas bin dichrin, Yashlan ksubas bin dichrin, they can still get the special ksubah that they get from their father. So what's the argument between Rabbi Akiva and Benanas? A different argument. V'hacha, going back to the second point we mentioned before, b'ksubah nases meiser lechaverta. The question is, since the children of the second wife, they are getting the ksubah that's owed for them, will that ksubah considered to be remainder, leftovers for the Yerusha, so that the other ones could get the ksubas bin dichrin? That's what they're arguing about. And he adds over here, v'hu adin lebalchayv. The same would apply if there would be a balchayv. If after you divide the ksubas bin dichrin, there is leftovers for the Yerusha, but what happens to that leftovers? They can't actually inherit it. It's being collected by a balchayv. So do you say that even though it's being collected and they don't ever actually yashin it, but still there's leftovers here? True, it's being collected by somebody, but there is leftovers here. Kamiflagi, that's what their argument is about. Marsova, Bananas holds ksuba nasas moises lechaverta. The ksuba is considered to be leftovers, so that now the other wife, her children, can get her ksubas bin dichrin. V'hu adin lebachayv. The same also if there's leftovers for the Yerusha, but they never actually inherit it, and it goes directly to a balchayv. Marsova, and Rabbi Akiva says, en ksuba nasas moises lechaverta. We don't consider this that's being collected for the ksubah as leftovers because there's no actual Yerusha that's being applied. It's immediately being paid for the ksubah. And v'hu adin lebalchayv, the same by a balchayv, they're not actually yarshening this money, it's going directly to the balchayv. This is the pshat that Rava says, I heard the Rabbanan saying, and I told them that there's a distinction here. When there's the leftovers for the Yerusha, there's a difference if that leftovers is going for the ksubah or that leftovers is going for the balchayv. The balchayv, if it's going for a balchayv, kula amale pligi. Nobody will argue that this is considered to be leftovers. This is part of the Yerusha, and it's being paid up for the loan. And everybody equally is paying up this loan. So this is considered to be leftovers for the Yerusha. The have a meiser, that this is leftovers. Ki pligi, when is their argument here? B'ksubah. The argument is only regarding the ksubah. Because when it comes to the ksubah, so they are the ones that are getting the ksubah. They are the Yershim that are supposed to be yarshining equally with everybody. And they themselves are getting the ksubah for their mother. So you can't say that they're paying part of the Yerusha for another loan for someone else that the money is owed. They themselves are getting it. So there's never a Yerusha that you could say that they themselves are getting equally over here together with the other brothers that are yarshening. So therefore in such a case everybody will agree that this is not considered to be leftover. This is the pshat that they said in this machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Bananas. But Maskal Rav Yosef, on this Rav Yosef asked, Ihachi, if so, Rabbi Akiva, and what does the Lashon Rabbi Akiva says? Kvar koftza nachla. That the nachla, this special ksubas ben dichrin, jumped away from them. Why does he use this expression? According to your pshat, im yesham meiser dinner mi baile. Rabbi Akiva should be saying not that the whole din of ksubas ben dichrin jumped away. It depends. It depends if there's still an extra dinner or not. That's the pshat that you're saying here. Elam Rav Yosef, therefore Rav Yosef says, Ba'achas b'chayev, ha'achas b'moisek ha'miflagi. We go back to the previous pshat. Here we have Rabbi Kiva and Ben Nanas that are arguing about this question. When only one of the wives is Kesubos ben Indichlin, do we apply the halacha of Kesubos ben Indichlin in this case? The Gemara will bring now another brayso. This will go on the next Amud.